All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez, absent. Councilman Cullen.
Here.
Councilwoman Eckhart. Here. Councilwoman Hudak.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Notation exits in the front and the rear electronic device. Please put it on vibrate. First is the presentation from New York State, Mr. Stephen Hartnett. It's a 2017 Excellent Award and Equity Award. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, thank you for giving me the brief opportunity to speak this evening and to present our Excellence in Equity Award to the town. This Excellence in Equity Award is granted to towns and cities throughout New York State that have conducted reassessments which meet certain standards. Among them, accurate property inventory, periodic inspections of all real property, and certain statistical tests that we apply to the assessments to ensure uniformity and equity. The town of Southeast has received this award for the past 17 years, since 2000. You are among a small handful of municipalities in New York State that have received this award consecutively for so many years, and you truly are to be commended as the board and Ms. Bell as the assessor for meeting such high standards for so long. You set a great example for all the other municipalities in the state, and it is really an honor to work with you and Ms. Bell in that. State law does require that properties be assessed at a uniform market value, but sadly that's not always the case in other municipalities throughout the state. So you guys, by your folks, by your initiative, really are to be commended. Ms. Bell, in her tenure as assessor, has received this award throughout her entire tenure. The reason I should get to for equitable assessments is because without equity in assessments, taxpayers will, some folks will pay more than their fair share of taxes, more than their fair share of the burden, and others will pay less than their fair share of the burden. So by updating assessments to reflect current market values, there will be an equitable distribution of the tax burden. So again, it's a real honor, and I'd like to present this to Ms. Bell, but on behalf of the board, the assessment and equity. So thank you so much. Lori, it's a real pleasure working with you. The board, thank you so much for your dedication and continuing efforts to continue with this. Congratulations, and if there's anything I can do to keep it moving forward, please feel free. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I'll ask.
Tony, can we just take a minute to thank Lori?
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
yes.
I really want to thank
you
you so
both.
much.
We appreciate it.
Yes, it makes it much easier for everyone in town, even if they do want to grieve taxes or have a problem. It makes it so much more user-friendly, so thanks so much. Thank you for your support.
And no, you're not getting a bigger office for another trophy. You can repaint the old one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we didn't open the meeting? Okay, I make a motion to open the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I've been asked to change the order this evening. Barrett Hill, would you mind if we let the Tenet Lake Advisory Board come up and make a few comments?
That'll be quick.
Okay. Thank you for allowing it.
Good evening. My name's Carl Levitch, and I'm the acting chairman right now of the Tenet Lake Advisory Committee, and with me is one of our members, Bill McGregor. Basically, what we want to do is, we know we haven't been up here in a while, and we just want to let you know like where we stand, where the lake stands, and what we're looking for in the future. Really, what we're looking for in the future is to continue testing the lake on an annual basis through Blue Dot or whoever else that we might find is better suited to do the testing. Basically, Back in 2006, the Tenet Lake Advisory Committee, after 2 years, we put 475 grass carp into the Tenetta Lake. The reason for that is we had a very big vegetation buildup across the whole 77 acres of the lake. What the grass carp were going to do was going to basically thin out the junk for us, and they did. But when things like that happen, other things happen, and basically what happened is our water clarity started to suffer because there was no more weeds for filtration or whatever. But again, the grass carp was probably our first major step that we did. Also, 2-3 years ago, we put in about 200 walleye fish. Basically, what they were supposed to do is eradicate the sunny population, which is a big nuisance. We have seen a big decrease in the sunny population, which means that the game fish that we have are coming back also. Patty Borman had also let us know, back in July of this year, the DEC came to her and asked her if they could test the lake for some blue algae to see if our lake had blue algae in it, because the blue-green algae is very bad algae, and as you know, the last couple of years, our lake has been closed at least once or twice during the swimming season. This year, we weren't closed once. Matter of fact, I think we were the only lake in Putnam County that did not have a blue-green bloom. And I really believe that it's through the efforts of our committee, through Don Cuomo's testing, and what we have done throughout the years to help maintain the viability of the lake. One point we wanted to make when we met 3 weeks ago, the new retention basin down on the north end of Shore Drive that was put in a couple of years ago, it really needs to be maintained. And what I mean maintained, it needs to be weed whacked. It's really overgrown. The access road needs to be taken care of. The rim of the basin needs to be weed whacked so that Don or we could go in and take a look to make sure, if the basin needs to be cleaned out. This should really be done on probably 3 or 4 times a year. I'm not sure if that would be the highway department, but that's just a recommendation that we're making. Our water clarity level is coming back, which is really good. We weren't having good water clarity readings, and it was, it's not a good thing when you don't have clear water. People start saying, oh, your water is polluted and what have you, but the water clarity is really coming back, and this is part of the reason that we believe that we didn't have the blue-green algae this year again. So, Bill, do you have anything that you wanted to say?
No, it's just been a continued effort on our behalf.
Will you just speak closer to the mic so it's
Yeah.
on TV, please?
It's just been a continuing effort on our behalf. I mean, we work on our side of the lake, the T-Beach, and we're constantly doing our own dredging, and we approached a different approach this year with the mats that put down that hold the weeds down, and it's been quite effective.
What side of the lake are you on, sir?
Shore Drive?
Shore Drive, okay.
We're on Shore Drive, 101 Shore Drive. The T-Beach used to be next to Clancy's, which is no more, but
Okay.
we're still the only private beach left on the lake.
Okay.
But really what we're here for, and I really hope that you guys are for this too, is to continue. I'm sorry, what we're really here for is the continued support of the town board of the town of Southeast to help maintain our lake, which is everybody's lake. We all pay taxes for the lake. And if we can just continue with that, we're going to be able to maintain a healthy, swimmable beach where a lot of towns don't have that anymore. And it's our only water. It's our only body of water that we can actually swim in, and for recreation, swimming, boating, and again, boating. It's rowboats. There's no motors allowed in there. So again, I just am asking for your guys' support, continued support, because even though we've tested year after year, science is not a definitive, and things are always changing. So we need to test every year to make sure there aren't different changes. And we're at a good point right now. We might be looking to possibly add some grass carp down in the future because they're actually dying off right now. Right now, this is their 11th year. They went in on June 22nd of 2006, so they're at their end. And we might, if we see an increase of the coontail and what have, and other aquatic vegetation, we might look to put more in the coming years, but not at the amount that we had back in 2006. It would be more of probably, I don't know for sure, but I would think more of maybe 100 or 200 as opposed to almost 500. It's just for maintenance. But again, I appreciate everything. I mean, I've been on this since the beginning, 2004. Been through a lot of supervisors, a lot of town boards, and you guys have always been good to us, and I hope that you continue to be good to us. That's all I can say. Thank you very much. Any questions?
I'd just like to thank you for all the work you've put in over the years, because that's been consistent, the board changes. But I do think it's really important for us to have consistency in testing and everything we can do to keep the lake as clean as we can keep it. I think it's important for everybody in Southeast, so
Definitely
thanks
is.
for all you do.
Thank you.
And the money's in the budget regardless of what you heard.
I didn't hear anything. I just.
Okay, no,
but
I'm-
no, Mr. Hay, we haven't been here in a long time. It's
Yeah.
probably since the administration, a couple of administrations ago. So, I mean, it's about time that we actually show our faces and give you guys an update of what you guys supported us with. So we're trying to give you an update of the lake status.
And I go home with a smile on your face.
We appreciate it.
And I think Patty Borman said as far as the town side of the lake, the pass holders are increased in 2017 over 2016, so it seems like we're getting more members on the town side.
That's great.
A lot of kids, I mean, my kids learn to swim in that lake. So
think
it's,
we all
you know, we
do.
have to keep it, and that, like you said, it's the only public beach we have. So it's
Yeah.
important that we keep the lake in
And she's
good
donating
shape.
public water.
Waterway. right,
Period.
Period, that's
Like,
true.
yeah.
yeah.
And as far as the retention basin, I suppose we'll speak about that to,
See who's responsible for
yeah, see
maintaining
who's
it.
responsible and
Highway Department.
Yeah.
see what we can do.
Great. I appreciate that very
I can
much.
call Highway if you want, or
You can.
liaison. if
I'm
you
surprised they
want.
haven't done it, but they, I don't get down
I'll
that.
call them first thing tomorrow, okay?
Thank you. Thanks very much. Any other questions?
Getting off easy. huh?
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
good
both.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, number 1, we're going back to now, discussion Barrett Hill special permit. Good evening.
I've got copies, so.
Good evening. Terry Ann Hahn, Principal, LADAPC, Site Plans for the project. I'll defer to you, but we have a brief presentation, if that works for you, so we can go from there. So, all right, I see a couple nods, so we'll go that direction. With me this evening is John Benlardi from Wilder Balter and Harold Lepler from Covington, representing the sponsors for the project. Back in 2016, this town board completed the creation of a new zone, the multifamily workforce housing zone. It was a floating zone, completed a seeker review of that, and ultimately mapped that new floating zone onto this particular property. As part of that review, it included a review of all the environmental issues and a schematic site plan. Since then, we've developed the site plan to quite a bit more detail, submitting it to the planning board, which is the next step in the process after you establish the zone in place, and went through their review. Numerous public hearings, lots of little changes that occurred as part of that, as well as going to the Architectural Review Board for the architecture. Which looks like this at the moment. And that review has been completed with the Architectural Review Board and in front of the town board just relatively recently. If I go back to the site plans, it is a 168-unit project, and as designed. It's in a total of 8 individual buildings. If I compare this to the original approval that was granted back in the early 2000s, the number of bedrooms in accordance with the regulations that was established during discussion of the seeker review of this had been reduced so that it is strictly 1 and 2 bedroom units. And those units are much smaller, so we were able to aggregate them in smaller buildings that are shorter and much smaller on the site. The 336 parking spaces are proposed, and the area of disturbance is within the same limit of the original approval. There's no additional impervious surface and no additional disturbance. One of the requirements of the multifamily workforce housing was that 30% of the units, or in this particular case 50 units, were to be designated as priority units for occupancy by eligible households. Those eligible households, consistent with what we did in the initial review for the creation of the zone itself, include the veterans, hang on, let me just make sure I get the correct words here. Okay, in the back here. Full-time employees of the town of Southeast, full-time employees of the school district serving the town of Southeast, persons 55 years and older, persons with disabilities, Putnam County first responders, qualified active volunteer members of the town's fire department, and veterans living in Putnam County. And that is consistent with the initial discussion with this board. The project, one of the things that we went through with the planning board was a lot more detail with respect to the recreation amenities for this. So it now includes a clubhouse with a pool, barbecue area, a play structure, a fitness trail, and walking trails. Quite a bit, it evolved quite a bit through the discussion with the planning board. One of the requirements for the special permit is a discussion with respect to recreation fees, and as part of the planning board's review, the town planner did put together an evaluation and recommendation with respect to the recreation fees for this particular project. That was submitted in the packet, and the applicant, that was prepared completely by the planning board and the town planner. So that was, it is acceptable to the applicant, but it was not applicant prepared or influenced in any fashion. There were a couple of changes required by the ARB, which we have added to the plans as submitted. There was a plant change, and those have been updated. And I would just like to take a moment. One of the elements of the special permit includes the development and finalization of a community benefits packet and a marketing plan. And I'm going to defer to John to sort of walk through that for you.
Good evening. John Van Marty, the Director of Development for Wilder Balter, one of the partners, sponsor partners for the project. The community benefits agreement that Terry just alluded to was established as part of the environmental review during the rezoning of the property. We submitted that community benefits agreement to the planning board during the planning board's review and public hearings, and the planning board had some comments through the planner and several members with respect to adding just some clarifying statements into the community benefits agreement. Principally, they wanted to make it clear, or more clear in the document, that the 17 affordable units will not be subject to the any limitations on the marketing reservation period, and that they will always be affordable units through the entire 99 years in which the restriction applies. And the CBA agreement, the Community Benefits Agreement, is a condition of the zoning ordinance. In addition, the Planning Board asked us to create a marketing plan that kind of put some more meat on the bones as to what would take place in the marketing process. And also, the community benefits agreement required an independent third-party organization who would be responsible for doing the marketing, making sure that with respect to the affordable units, that the individuals were income qualified, and that would be independent of the project owner. We suggested and selected Housing Action Council. Wilder Balter Partners has done a fair amount of our communities with Housing Action Council throughout the years as a not-for-profit partner, and they've handled the marketing and the qualifying efforts for the residents. So the marketing plan simply just attempts to lay out what the marketing procedure would be, who would be the primary locations in which we would market to, which is going to be the town of Southeast. It would be the focus, but Putnam County more broadly, and then into Westchester County. The types of media that would be used, radio and television, municipal websites, and Housing Action Council also represents a number of municipalities in helping municipalities run their own either affordable or priority housing programs. So they have that experience. Brochures would be created, and there would be a real effort to interact with organizations that meet the priority categories and serve the priority categories, whether they be veterans, the disabled, and local emergency responders, first responders, so on and so forth. So those documents were submitted, reviewed by the board, and have been included in the submission that you currently have before you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to.
All right, do you have any?
Yes, I was going to defer to anyone else. I have quite a few.
We'll go. Maybe I'll answer mine.
Okay. I am very unimpressed with your marketing plan. And is the Housing Action Council, are they the prime, it says here they're the marketing consultant. Are they the ones that will be in charge of the plan, or is it Wilder Balter? I wasn't quite clear.
The primary responsibility to ensure that the requirements of the community benefits agreement are met will be Housing Action Council.
Right.
We work with Housing Action Council to implement.
Okay.
But ultimately, Housing Action Council will be primarily responsible and will be the reporting entity who will report to your board annually or however often you'd like for them to report to make it clear that they're achieving the goals and the expectations.
Okay. I could start on the set with under marketing program. It says under commercial media that there will be online or print ads at least once. So you're only telling us, and I know the Journal News can be expensive, but Patch and the Daily Voice or the others mentioned that, and I'm not looking to spend your money, I'm just kind of at sea here with how little is actually being done. So that is only once. Then your radio and television is through press releases, public service announcements, and press coverage. So that's kind of an earned media thing that obviously you won't be paying for any of that. Municipal websites, I don't know how far you'll get on that because we don't, I don't know if other towns will allow you to be on their websites. I know that can be, we certainly turn down a lot of people who ask to advertise or to promote anything on ours because we don't want to get into, it's okay for some people, but not for others. The signage is obviously inexpensive. The brochures, I know cost very, very little, less than, for $2,500, less than $300. And the community public contacts also are, that's free at no cost. And also, it says the initial marketing period, and this is the, getting near the end, the initial marketing period for the priority units will be a minimum of at least of 3 months. But the only numbers I've heard on that, it was supposedly 6 months, and this, I'm not sure when that changed or why that changed. And that was for marketing, there'll be 2 separate applications for the 33 priority units and 17 affordable. But is that true that this is going to be only it says a minimum, but am I crazy? Wasn't it originally?
It actually specifically says in the community benefits agreement that it's a 6-month reservation period. So we'll adhere to that, and we can.
So that could be changed?
Yeah, you can correct it.
Okay.
And as far as minimum is concerned, you know, we can work with you to increase the minimum. I mean, as our goal is to effectively market and get the development
Right.
fully occupied as
Right.
quickly as possible. So in our experience, we will market to the point that is necessary to get initial occupancy.
Right.
And then to maintain a healthy wait list.
Right, because clearly I'm not saying if they rent right away, I'm not saying, oh gosh, you have to put in more ads. That's not my point. My point is it just was, with what's proposed here, most of it is very inexpensive or free, and my concern is that there's not much meat on these bones.
I assure you that it's not free, and it's a bit more than the numbers that and we can give you a sense
Okay.
of what a budget would typically be, and maybe that's the way to deal with it, based upon our history.
Right.
Of what a typical marketing budget is.
Right.
But even the brochures, I mean, these are typically, we do color brochures. If you
Right.
have to print 1,000 brochures or 2,000 brochures, that's several $1,000s, not several $100s.
Well, I can give you a name of a place that prints them for me for less than $300, for $2,500, all in color, and they're very nice. I'd be happy to tell you. And I'm happy to save you money, but it's like, you know, if you're saying that you're only going to put ads in once, I mean, I'd like a little more assurance. It doesn't mean you have to do it. As I said, if you guys get this rented and it's successful, more power to you, but I don't want empty, and I'm sure you're going to rent it, but I'm not looking for empty buildings, you're not either. And I just would like assurances, since this did change our zoning, that this is something that's going to be successful.
We'd be happy to work with you on that. And as we go forward too, I think the intent will be, particularly as Housing Action Council gets involved, is we're going to be looking for input from your board, from the town in general, to help us where you can, to make sure that those folks who are in the priority units and otherwise, whether they're a prior unit category member or not, is to make sure people are aware of the developments and that they have an opportunity to put in an application and reside there if that's what they would like. So we're going to look for the Housing Action Council to interact as much as possible. We've experienced this before, and most recently I was responsible for taking the Bridleside development in North Salem through the approval process and through the construction and development process. And there we tried to work with the town so that the local community was aware that this asset was there, and that they got their applications in and gave themselves the best opportunity to participate.
Okay, and Bridleside was very different in that it was, that was for Westchester. That's not at all what this is, as far as Westchester County was mandating, because of the Fair Housing Act.
So Bridleside was 100% affordable. This is
Right.
not. This
Right.
is a combination.
Right.
But the marketing is marketing. So you need with respect to Bridleside, because it was part of the Westchester County settlement, as a requirement of the funding, the source of funding, which was county funds, they required a more broad-reaching
Right.
marketing.
Yes.
So here, we're trying to target, but at the same time, not target so narrowly that we put ourselves behind the eight ball and that we're unable to fully occupy the premises. Hopefully, in our experience, what we find in any development that we've built, whether it's market rate, affordable, or otherwise, is people generally don't just pick up from lands far off
Right.
and show up. They have some contact, they have some connection to the community, whether it's seniors coming back from who have, maybe moved down south and are coming back home to be closer to family and grandchildren, whether it's empty nesters, or even you hear millennials thrown around a lot today in the press, but you have an individual who's graduated from school. You don't want them living in the house anymore, but you'd like for them to be nearby.
Right.
These are the types of people typically move into one and two bedroom apartments.
Okay, and on, although this will be more Terry to ask on the recreation, I want to talk to Ashley again about this, but because there are a lot of errors that I don't think you made on these facilities that we have, and I want to make sure that's all corrected. I'm not convinced that $1,570.22 per unit is the right number, but I'm not sure I'm prepared until I speak with her again. To get into. No, I know, yeah, I know, but I just wanted to say that, and John, thank you.
Thank you. And I would just add that if you have any specific language that you'd like to see incorporated, please suggest it, and we'll work to incorporate your suggestions.
And I think the public hearing, I'm not sure how many people will be interested, but they might have suggestions too that could be very helpful. But I'd like to see a little more, well, you get the gist, so anyhow, thank you.
Thank you.
And Lynn, if, whatever it is that you have some suggestions, if you could also circulate it amongst the board,
Sure.
that'd be great. I'm just
You want to
curious.
know about those brochures, huh?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, who's your printer?
No bleeding, right?
Yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, in using Housing Action Council, Inc., can you give me an idea as to how much work they've done in other areas, how long they've been in business?
Yes. They've been in business, I think it's more than 25 years now. We've worked with them on hundreds and hundreds of units, and they're pretty well-known throughout Westchester County and Putnam County. We worked with them in Hillcrest and Carmel. We worked with them in North Salem. We're working with them in the Reader's Digest conversion, which is a mixed-use development of the iconic cupola building in Chappaqua. They were hired as consultants by Westchester County as part of the settlement, the 750 units that needed to be built in Westchester County affordable. I know that they've been retained by numerous municipalities throughout the Hudson Valley. They have a very good website that has all of their folks who work in the offices in Tarrytown, and Rose Noonan, who's really the kind of lead, is an attorney as well, and she's very well respected in this area. So we think that they understand what we're trying to accomplish through the priority categories, the priority groups. They understand the process of how to go out and best put us in the position of finding them and making sure those folks are aware that this opportunity exists. And they have the organization in place to be able to do this. They've done it many, many times.
Okay, and would you have the ability to have someone from the Housing Action Council, Inc. provide us with a little more information or a more definitive game plan than what's presented here? Because I understand what Lynn is saying about the online and or print ads will be placed at least once So I understand, you know, I can say that that's something that perhaps can be expanded, but perhaps they have some experience, it sounds like they have a lot of experience in using alternatives, but if there is something more that they can put together for our review and a little bit more meat than what's here, that would be great. And then in addition, whether they have reached out to these municipal websites. Lynn, personally, I doubt strongly that these towns wouldn't want to put it on a website as far as this kind of an opportunity for people it's marketed to, but I don't know. So it would be nice if the next time someone comes here, maybe during the public hearing, that we can have some information, more definitive information as to the cooperation of the different towns in Putnam County, because this is for Putnam County. And maybe just a little more background. I assume that someone from Housing Action Council will be here for any public hearings that.
Yeah, and Rose did speak during the public hearing one evening before the planning board.
Well, I'm saying more for.
Sure, and we can
the town,
we can
yeah.
ask Rose to come back again for.
Yeah, at this time, we don't have the recording of planning board or zoning board. It's my understanding that we're working towards that goal. But at this point, that would be something I'd like to see, because once again, you know, the issue really is filling these units. There was a lot of talk when this first came before the town board about the possibility that they would fill very quickly. Quite frankly, the presentation that I saw seemed to indicate it, but certainly, you know, we want to avoid an issue where lack of word of mouth and/or advertising produces a situation in which it's not responsive to that which we did. In other words, you know, at the end of that certain period of time, apparently, then it will, you know, be offered to whomever who aren't in the target group. So that's what I think the concern is.
Right, but there'll be, the intent is to continually market for the life of the community, to always try to maintain a wait list, so that when the next unit becomes available, if we are not at the 50 units of priority units, which honestly, we don't anticipate there's going to be an issue in this.
I don't think there's any.
But, I mean, just in the seniors alone, it's more than achievable. But the intent would be that if a unit comes available and there's only 48 priority units rented, the next one's going to go to a priority person off the wait list. So in the marketing plan, as Rose was contemplating, we'll be maintaining separate wait lists so that we'll always be able to fill the next unit. Now, that's the intention.
And the marketing will just simply continue.
And we'll just have to, we'll market if we need to market to pick up on a particular category. We can always ramp up. So this is a fluent kind of a process, and it's a reactive process.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think you're going to have any problem filling these priority units. There's a severe need for something like this in Putnam County and Southeast. We don't really have rental apartments. I think they'll go very quickly, or you'll have a full list.
And the need is really, throughout the region.
Yep.
My fear, though, is that the workforce housing may be found discriminatory, except for the seniors and protected classes. So I want to make sure that this is successful, and if it has to be marketed to more people, obviously the affordable portion is fine. But remember, this was supposed to be senior housing, and markets change, and it's our job to protect Southeast and make sure the project gets built and built as best it can be, and be full of happy people, I hope, so.
Thank you.
Okay, on this particular project, the newest thing, of course, is tonight is a discussion on the recreation fees. The town has very limited opportunity to obtain recreation fees, especially in bulk, with 168 units. The project with 168 units paying the regular recreation fee of $7,500, they would have brought in around $1,260,000. And we're only going to receive $263,000. Now, the town planner, I believe I heard even discussion in the meetings prior to that there was going to be discussion, and I heard my name mentioned, but I never got involved in it, not that I'm anyone that has to be involved in it, but my concern is about maintaining our parks. And the more money we have in the fee, like some gentlemen tonight about, Tenetta Lake, we've paid every year to have, someone go out there and test and things of that nature, but if they need to buy other things, we need that money. So I was kind of surprised to see something come from AKRF identifying, how they're going to do it. Now, I don't always agree with these people, okay? I mean, we used the planner saying how many children are going to be up there. I don't agree with the number based on what I see at Bridleside, but that issue is done. I just want to deal with the recreation fees. Now, they've put a number. I don't know if there's any room for negotiation, but I'm going to explain to you where I'm coming from and what I think I'd like to see. I know developers make money, but we're not trying to take their money, but we're trying to be fair to all of our residents. Now, we have 168 units of housing here. Overall, in the town of Southeast, we have quite a bit of housing. Now, you're going to provide these people with a pool, numerous things, okay, walking trails, whatever. Well, we had another similar one here in the town of Southeast, which was Fortune Ridge, which is basically one of the last units to pay the town any kind of a sum of money. Now, that was approved years upon years ago. When they came in, the rec fees were $3,000, they went to $5,000, and of course now they're $7,500. I don't know, it's because the land use is getting less and less and less, that they need more money from the few that build. But it's a concern of mine, because again, we need money in the rec fees. They spent a lot of money on the water park, but whatever. I know, it's not real, didn't do us well. So, the concern again is with Fortune Ridge, let me use them as an example. They paid $5,000 a lot. They have around 101 or 100, maybe 104 units. They paid $5,000. They paid us $500,000. Now, they provide their people that live there. Now, don't forget, I can't compare Fortune Ridge to this because, no, I can. You know why? Because at Fortune Ridge, every home is a home. They got a lot, small lots, but they got a lot. They can walk, they can do this and do this. These people are more confined. And I think the people that live here will be more inclined to use our facilities than someone at Fortune Ridge. Now, down at Fortune Ridge, they have a full-size pool, a kiddie pool, tennis court full-size, half-court multipurpose court with basketball hoop, a children's playhouse with a jungle gym, a clubhouse with gathering and great room, a kitchen, toddler playroom, for when people work out in the things which you're going to be providing as well, indoor clubhouse, outdoor bathroom for men and women for the pool, and a horse barn with riding. Now, that's a luxury, okay? They pay big money, they pay big taxes, and I'm not sure we're getting the same. But again, my concern is we have people that are going to, 168 units that have basically 4 walls. Outside those 4 walls, they can go outside, walk a little bit, and have a little bit of a play area. Down there, they have a grader. Now, the $500,000, it comes out, she had mentioned earlier, is $1,570 per. And I just think, I'm just not sure, and again, Ashley never called me, I don't know if she called any town board member, did she call anyone?
Didn't call me.
I just think they should have run that by, I think the town board as well, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just a planning board that makes that determination, and I would have liked to see that report even before it was sent out and say, well, how do you do this, and make the same argument I'm making now to them as to have maybe increased the fees that they're requesting. Not asking for the moon, not asking for $7,500, but I really think $1,570 per unit is a bit undervalued.
All I can tell you is that the regulation requires that the planning board do an evaluation, and this was the evaluation that the planning board, I don't want to speak for Ashley, she prepared it herself, and so she was using what was known as a objective criteria as defined by New York State, and that's how she established that. But that's, do you wish to speak?
The only other thing I would add, and again, this is for ultimately for your review, and I don't know if it was referenced in AKRF's ultimate report, but the value of the recreational improvements that we're
1.2 million.
Yeah, it's significant.
Well, it's significant, but I didn't find out what this is much more significant than that, and of course, they paid a lot more. Again, the comparison, I'm just saying, 168 units and looking just at 4 small walls. Well, 4 walls, as big as the apartment may be, as compared to a house with many amenities and these other amenities. I just think we got shortchanged.
And I did speak to Ashley, but it was quite a while ago because I was very curious about whether mirrors in a yoga room counted and all of and pool deck furniture. And a lot of this, she said, would not count towards the recreational budget. So I want to speak with her again to be accurate. I don't want to not be accurate on this, but she had a lot of questions. Obviously, she's since done this, but I would like to speak to her again about that. Because I agree with Tony. I think the people in this development probably will have more use of our recreational facilities and want more use, and we want to be able to keep them up so that everybody wants to use them, so.
Perhaps we can have Ashley issue a report to us so that we're all in the loop with Ashley.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if you speak to her.
Well,
then-
we have this one report, but I think it's very confusing, and I would like, I agree,
think we should
Liz.
speak to her together. I don't think one
Right.
board member should speak to her. I don't want anyone in.
Well, we have a public hearing, we'll discuss it at that time.
Well, I'd like to also see perhaps what we can do is just have Ashley send us all an email explaining what was behind it. I can hear what,
I think she did. I mean, we have it here, we'll just forward it back to everyone again.
well, let me see.
It was this one here.
Yeah.
They identified it. I mean, I just don't buy 100% of the argument.
Well, this was to the planning board.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, we never,
well, the town board doesn't generally, I don't think
but
gets.
this is important to us, so I don't know how we got left out of the loop, and, I
I don't
don't.
know either, but.
Well, I think.
Again, you're hearing some of our concerns. Sure. I honestly believe they will need more recreation facilities than they're paying for.
Well, I think that why, quote unquote, we were left out of the loop is probably because there's never an anticipation at this point that you're gonna be in the loop, because it's a Southeast Planning Board. So, and I'm.
Yeah, but
look-
we're gonna give the special permit. We're the
Right.
ones that are gonna sign off on this whole plan.
But this is a function of the planning board.
Oh.
And it's a function of our, and it's also a function, of course, of our planners. So, but once again, what I'd like to do is to have Ashley address
But the
this.
planning board approved that already, I believe, right? The fees, the recreation fees, or is that?
I think this goes back to them again.
The,
I have
the planning
the
board
special
prepared a
permit.
report
Right.
to the town board,
Yes.
that, as was required by the way that the regulation is specifically written. It was their evaluation, they were required to do the evaluation and make a recommendation, so that's.
I mean, any of the condo complexes that have their own swimming pools, they're not swimming in Lake Tenetta at the only town facility we have. We could easily check that with the recreation department. So I think,
Well,
that they
90% of
could-
the residents probably don't use them either. That's not fair.
well, no, but if you have a
Evaluate.
pool, you're not gonna go swim in a lake. And I don't think they're gonna be using too many of our own facilities when they have everything there, personally.
Well, everything isn't going to be there, so. I
Well-
mean, I think we need to, the special permit you included with your package, and I was actually out of the country on September 11th when this was passed, but I just think there are more questions that,
Right, but I think if
We'd like to have
we want to
answers.
speak to Ashley, I think she should speak to all of us at the same time. That's all.
Well, she'll be here at the public hearing.
Yeah.
That's it at that time.
That's fine. I mean, I don't know how she came up with this either.
Well,
I
she's
mean,
got
I
a
didn't
report.
speak
She
to-
identified her sources and whatever, and, but from 1.2 down to 263 is a bunch.
yeah.
Okay. Mr. Bell?
Who's been waiting patiently.
Peter Bell. I'm going to go back to Housing Action Council. Myself and my company has dealt with Housing Action Council for over 25 years. We dealt with them 25 years ago when Yonkers had their housing discrimination suit. And the city of Yonkers had to pay to relocate people out of Southwest Yonkers. Housing Action Council enlisted us to help them find houses in other parts of Yonkers. And we did somewhere around 50 or 60 different families that we relocated. There are 17 affordable housing units in this complex. Right now, Housing Action Council works with WRO which is Westchester Residential Opportunities, and they are the two organizations that do 90% of the affordable housing in this area. So I would almost guarantee you that they have a list already of people waiting for housing in this area. But I've dealt with Rose, dealt with her husband, Alan Gordon. They are the people to go to market affordable housing pieces in Westchester and Putnam. So I just want to let you know that I've had dealings with them for over 25 years.
Thank you.
Thanks.
At this point, we would simply ask that you schedule the public hearing
We will be
for
doing
the
that this
October
evening.
meeting.
It's item number 5 on the agenda, but you don't have to stick around for it.
Okay. All right. Is there any other questions?
I don't, anyone?
No, thank you.
Then we look forward to the public hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
See you
help
then.
today, Terry.
I spoke to Ashley today as well, and she's aware of the public hearing scheduled for the
Okay.
19th of October. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is the Cold War Veterans Exemption. You may recall, we had done this a while back, and at the time, it was a 10-year exemption. And I believe everybody pretty much in Putnam County and probably the state will be signing off on this. The 10 years is going to be as long as the person owns a property. If it's, 15, 20, 30 years, they would get that exemption. So there's not
Move
really
it to
much.
the next meeting.
Yeah, just going to put a resolution forward in the next meeting.
Yep, that's fine.
Please.
Tony, I think that requires a local law, so you'd have to schedule a public hearing.
Okay.
Am I
Okay,
correct?
so we'll schedule public hearing right now. Oh, wait, I'll do it in 10 seconds when I'm in the regular meeting.
Okay.
Just so we stay right above. Okay, make a motion to go into the regular meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Waive the reading of the correspondence.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the voucher list, $2,179,464.78. So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. All meetings will be held at 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York, at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Thursday, October 5, 2017, and Thursday, October 19th, 2017. And let me just tell you now that on October 19th, we have the Farmers Market. We have Barrett Hill. We're going to put on the Cold War Veterans Exemption. And, ooh, there's one missing. Which one?
Budget.
Budget.
Is that going to be,
No, we don't.
It wouldn't be, that's not for the public
no,
hearing.
we're going to set,
Set the public hearing.
the public hearing for the budget is going to be November 2nd. So, not there, not the budget. So right now, it looks like Farmers Market, Barrett Hill, and the Cold War Veterans Exemption. So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Waive the reading of the budget, oh, we already did the budget transfer, okay. Number 6, resolution to reappoint James Clark, Board of Assessment Review, term to expire 9/30/22. Okay, resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby appoints James Clark to a new term on the Southeast Board of Assessment Review to expire on September 30, 2022, and be further resolved that this appointment shall take effect upon the taking and filing of the appropriate oath of office with the Town Clerk of the Town of Southeast. So move for discussion.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Clark, would you stand up just for a second so everyone can see who you are? And can you just tell us briefly, how many years have you served on this board for us?
I think it's about 19.
It's my age, great, you've been there as long as I've been. Well, thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and you really have assembled a very professional board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
We didn't do the budget transfers.
Yeah, we have to do budget transfers, Tony.
We didn't do,
We didn't do it. You did,
okay, wait, time out, okay.
did voucher
Okay, make a
list.
motion to waive the rules and read the budget transfer. Not to waive the rules, but
You
to
just have to do it.
waive them.
yes,
Just,
just go
Wait.
into budget transfer.
All in favor?
Aye.
You got the long list, it's there. Okay, number 7, it's a resolution, New York State Electric and Gas, Putnam Lake Substation, ARB recommendation. Now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby accepts and approves the report of the Architectural Review Board dated August 29, 2017, in connection with the application of New York State Electric and Gas Company, NYSE&G, which seeks to upgrade existing substation equipment at the facilities located at 18 Old Donsburg Road, tax map number 36.17-1-11, in the town of Southeast Putnam County, New York, a copy of which is annexed to here, made a part hereof, and that such report shall be incorporated in any final site plan subsequently reviewed and approved for this project by the planning board. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Number 8, it's a resolution, NISAC, Putnam Lake Substation Performance Bond Establishment. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount shall be established for the project set forth below. Project name, New York State Electric and Gas, Putnam Lake Substation. Site improvements on the bond amount, $29,000. Erosion and sediment, $1,300. And be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be transmitted by the town clerk to the planning board, secretary, and building inspector forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
I'd like to thank James Sacamano, who has been tracking this for many, many months. It's right across from his home, and I do hope this meets with approval. I know he's complimented Victoria, the town planner, not the town planner, the town planning board secretary, for keeping him updated every time this comes in, because had a concern about it, and it looks like it's been addressed. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 9 is a resolution, Vesio Equestrian Facility Performance Bond Release, establishment of maintenance bond and escrow account. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount shall be estimated for a project set forth below. Project name, Vesio Equestrian Facility, bond amount, erosion and sediment, $23,500. Be and is hereby released on the condition that a 4-year stormwater/erosion control maintenance bond in the amount of $4,700 be filed with the town clerk, and be further resolved the applicant shall deposit the sum of $750 with the planning board as and for an escrow account to cover the cost of periodic inspections of stormwater/erosion control structures, measures, and facilities, and be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution shall be transmitted by the town clerk to the town planning board secretary and building inspector forthwith. So move for discussion.
Second.
I would just like to say, I can vote on this because it's erosion, yes, but there's a few odds and ends up there that haven't been, I've spoken to Tom Fenton about, and they're not major, it's just really some things that have been done to keep ATVs off Nelson Boulevard. But I will work with Tom on that still and see if we can get that done. But it really won't affect the erosion and sediment release, so I just wanted you to be, the board to be aware of it.
Okay.
I went up there today to double check.
So you're okay with that? This is good on this part?
I think this part is fair for him. I just would really like, there needs to be a little more done, and it might involve highway too, so I'll work on that, but I wanted you to know.
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And the last item on the agenda is the supervisor's financial report. Tonight, beside the supervisor's financial report, I will be submitting the 2018 town budget to the town clerk, who will in turn give it to the town board while you're here this evening. Let's see. One thing has come up. I was asked recently, last year in 2017, when the town was going through the garbage contract, we had one carter for like 5 years. A new carter was making application, or actually several carters made application to the town to get a contract. During that period of time, it was about a week or so just around budget time. We already held a public hearing for the garbage. And what happened was we approved the contract. It came with a fairly hefty increase, around $370,000, and the budget did not include that increase. So with that, I had planned or budgeted a 3% increase, and it ended up being 26.11 increase, which was substantial. So this whole year, we were paying a higher price. I have usually, with my budget, there's there's a surplus at the end, no, surplus. And because this is a special district, there's a special fund, and that's why it's not reported in my monthly statement, because one is a special district and it's a one-time charge. Once we approved it, we all knew that it was up $370,000 when we approved it. So I didn't identify it, I haven't identified it all year, and we just don't do it. And this year, we have an increase with the health insurance of 11%, and part of that reason is what's happening down in Washington with the Obamacare. They don't seem to know where it's going to be going, so that's another big increase that's coming up. So with this year's garbage, I took around $250,000, which was a surplus, which is going to pay off what happened this past year. Had we had it last year and had time to discuss it and put it in the budget, whether we exceeded tax cap, used surplus, however, I have one way of doing it, someone else may have another way of doing it. When I put forward my budget this evening, this is my budget, my responsibility. I take whatever heat comes with it. I'm doing what I think we should do. But we will be having discussions on this, which I'll be getting into as I read this slight statement. 2018 budget presentation. This is my sixth budget submission, which began in 2013. Even though the tax cap is no more than an artificial ceiling placed on municipalities by the state can't cap expenses passed on to municipalities by others. And what I mean by that, the garbage contract. I mean, they have to make money. We hadn't had an increase in well over well, when I say hadn't had a major increase, 3% is major, because all those tax caps during that year, I think the lowest we had was like 0.60. There was 1.84 is what this year's, and I don't know how they continue to expect us to make these expenses while we get hit big time with bills. So the total of health care this year and the garbage contract is about $500,000. It's substantial. So this year we have two budget busters, and I just mentioned them, with an 1.84 tax cap. Garbage rose 26.41, health insurance raised 11.1, and if you want to know what that means, it's $1,904,100 for the garbage pickup, and I think everyone is very happy with what we have. We have 2 pickups a week. We have bulk every week, and I think they do a great job, but it's a cost that we had not anticipated. I mean, a 26% increase is a bunch, and especially when you have a 1.84% tax cap. And again, the increase on the health insurance, we're now up to $1,120,000 per year for our health insurance. The supervisor's budget proposal will break the 1.84 tax cap by 7.63%, or 9.47%. The average household would incur a property tax increase of approximately $8 per household. Having the lowest tax rate in Putnam County does have an advantage. I have chosen not to use reserves because both budget lines add a significant perpetual expense to the town budget and should be dealt with as a permanent solution in 2018 and not a temporary solution by using reserves. As we are all aware, the library budget referendum is on this year's ballot, and if that passes, it will have an even greater impact on the 2019 budget. I am recommending that we schedule a 2018 budget work session for Thursday, October 5th, which is our next meeting, and Thursday, October 19th, 2017, our second meeting. Schedule this 2008 budget public hearing for Thursday, November 2nd, and to vote on and adopt the 2018 budget on Thursday, November 16th, 2017. The 2018 budget has to be approved by the town board by November 20th of 2017, which is a Monday. So the last meeting date we have for that is on November 16th. That's supervisor report. Town board members. No, wait, public first. Did anyone make?
Tony, can I
did anyone
just,
say anything?
Do you want to give me the budget?
Are we gonna get copies of the budget?
Yes. Wait,
And
that-
Tony, I think it's important for the public to know that we did take the lowest bid on the garbage.
Yes.
So, just so they do know.
And by the way, the second lowest bidder was $500,000 more.
And it didn't include the weekly bulk pickup.
And it did include a weekly bulk pickup. And another thing too, now I've lived here for many, many years, and trust me, it was always much more expensive for each homeowner to pay their garbage than the way we do it. So we're still getting a fairly good discount. Ending now, or will I make any comments here now?
No, I'm going to make any comments. Obviously, we're just handed the budget. What I'd like to do is not break the cap. I'd like to look into every available remedy as opposed to doing that now. I'm not quite understanding what it means by do it now. All I know is I'll look at the budget. I believe it's in the best interest of the town not to do that. I know that we're going to look very diligently into still protecting the town people's interest by not doing that, and look at every alternative, evaluate each alternative to make certain that we have taken every step possible to maintain what we've done in the past several years, which is not to crash the cap. I know that Lynn, Edwin, Bob, and I are going to work together on this, and obviously, present whatever alternatives to Tony to make certain that, we're all on the same page. But I'm very interested in not doing that, not breaking the cap, looking for as many alternatives as possible, and that's what I'll be doing. And hopefully, we'll have a good report for you.
I'd be happy to work on this budget. I don't, and to minimize any kind of increase that we have. I've always felt strongly that way. I understand what Tony's saying about kicking the can down the road, because we do have to, eventually we have to pay the piper. We could take it out of our fund balance, but this is an expense that is annual. It's not if this were a one-time deal, it's different. But that said, I really want to work as diligently as we can. I think we might be able to cut some. I don't think Tony has ever had any fat in the budget, but I think there may be some areas where we can cut. So I am completely open to looking at this budget and seeing how we can best serve the residents of Southeast.
And I'm going to basically defer my statements because I just received the budget now. But we do have a very lean budget in Southeast, there's no question about it. We have the lowest town budget in Putnam County, but I think we have to look and see if there's any room for savings in other locations in the budget. I also do not want to break the tax cap, but we'll, we have to go through everything and look.
But I'd also like to thank Tony for doing this. It's a yeoman's job. So, thank you, Tony.
Okay, well, October 2nd and 16th, we'll do what we got to do.
Yep.
Public.
October 5th.
Say-
You said October 5th.
Was it 5? What time out? October
5th and the 19th.
5th and the 19th?
Correct.
October 5th
Yep.
and 19th, sorry. Public.
No?
Yeah.
If you could just give us the numbers again, we don't have copies of the budget. If you could just tell us what the increase is going to be again, and
Well, this is my proposed increase.
your proposed increase, yeah. Is it 7.63%, did you say?
And Tony, will this budget be on the website?
I'm sure.
as
Isn't
well,
it
right?
always?
Yeah, it should be on, but
Okay, the tax cap is 1.84 for this year. My budget proposes to raise 7.63% more, or 9.47%. And that would be $8 per household.
And that's not counting if the library bond passes.
Well, that's
Right.
library.
Well,
That's
that
up
would
to
be
the
the following
public.
year, too.
Right.
But I'll explain the full rationale why we're discussing whatever, because I've done a lot of work, I've got a lot of numbers, and I have my opinion of it. I mean, I got us to where we are now, and I believe in what I've done so far, and I believe what I'm doing going forward is the right thing, and life is life, it goes on.
Tony, is the $8 monthly charge or a
No,
yearly?
year.
It's a year,
Yeah.
$8 for the year, okay.
$8 a year per household or per
Per household.
100,000?
Average.
Well, it
Average,
depends on
average.
your
It's
assessment.
300, it's based on a household of $353,000.
So it could be
Or
more
it
if your
could be
house
less.
is, or it could be less.
Yeah, if you got $1 million home like Bob, then
Thank
or is
you.
it you? Who's got $1 million home?
Don't look at her.
Anyone else from the public?
Tony, can I say one other thing?
No, you're not the public.
Okay, well, no,
Okay,
Sorry.
you can go on the public.
No, I just wanted to say, I spoke to the Brewster School Superintendent today about a few different things, but we wanted to remind the public, in light of all the horrendous hurricanes and the disasters and damages that we were speaking to reiterate that we, do have the intermunicipal agreement on, in case of emergencies or disasters in Southeast. So I think we want to look at that again, make sure it's all good and up to date, because God knows it can strike.
And I
Anything can happen.
contacted UCP about 2 weeks ago to make sure our agreement, I'm gonna go up there, we're supposed to meet this week to go up there, make sure my key works, because you're hearing about all these hurricanes, whatever. Just make sure I still know where everything is, and they said everything is the same as it was in the past.
Good.
We have access to it, the public will have access to it, except the town hall here now does have a generator, so,
Right.
we can still do government business here, although other businesses or governments won't be able to do it because they don't have the generator, but we're lucky enough to have afford one. But, so between the school and that, yes, we're updating and
Right,
checking.
great, because she was very helpful. I
hopefully
mean, she's
never
very
have to-
enthusiastic about it, so.
Okay.
I thought it was, it's good for everyone to remember that we have that there.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Uh-oh.
It's up to you, Lynn.
I never do this.
She wants to stay. Want me to do it?
Yeah, you
Okay.
do it.
I don't want Lynn to get upset.
No,
I'll
no.
make a motion that we end the meeting.
All in
I'll
favor?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
You have
You're
to
welcome.
remember a second.